Hello and welcome back to the channel. I've gained a lot of new subscribers in recent weeks and I'm thrilled for you all to be a part of this. Make sure you keep the comments and questions coming. I'll do my best to answer whenever I can. In fact, your questions could help steer me in the direction of topics for future videos because I want to make sure that I'm covering content that you legitimately want to know. Now, it's been a minute since my last video. I've been on vacation and I did some thinking and I realized I still haven't talked about the different kinds of voiceover work that are out there. Well, why is that important? Well, for one thing, I'm assuming a lot of you want to do this in a professional capacity. And the first step in doing that is understanding the nature of the work that's out there so that you can then focus your efforts in the right directions. There are so many different kinds of voiceover work, seemingly more created all the time. And when I first started, I knew that I liked animation and I liked audiobook narration, but beyond that, I was happy to pursue whatever type of work I could get. Does that sound familiar? Well, the problem with that is you run the risk of spreading yourself too thin from a talent and marketing perspective. You know that phrase, jack of all trades, master of none? It's real. You're much better off being a master of a few different kinds of voiceover work rather than trying to chase down everything that's out there. For one thing, the skill sets are all different. What works for commercials isn't the same thing that works for e-learning or audiobook narration. For another thing, you want to make sure that you're making yourself brandable so that talent buyers and agents know what to do with you. And that means specializing in, at most, about 3 or so different kinds of voiceover. The following is a rundown of the different kinds of voiceover work that are out there. I'll do my best to make it as complete as possible, but inevitably there'll be disagreements over subcategories, and I'll almost certainly forget something. We'll start with commercials. It's straightforward, but this is voiceover that promotes goods or services in a conversational way. Now, most people are instantly turned off if they can tell that you're trying to sell them something, so that conversational thing is key. There are different subcategories depending on the types of product. For instance, there's food, home goods, health and beauty, electronics, etc., with automotive, car commercials being a specialized kind. Number 2, narration. Telling a story over words or pictures or otherwise communicating information, usually accompanying a visual component. It requires good communication, clear articulation, and even pacing. And it's kind of difficult to define because there are so many different subcategories to narration. For instance, there's documentary narration, but also corporate narration. Think the training videos for companies that the general public doesn't see. YouTube video narration, e-learning, medical narration, even audiobooks. A lot of the work on P2P sites and a lot of the work out there in general falls under the category of corporate narration. E-learning is huge because so many people learn through watching videos these days, and you have to be easy to follow and understand. And then, of course, there's medical narration, which is a highly specialized kind where you narrate doctor's notes and case studies. It requires that you be able to accurately pronounce complex medical terms and have the authority to sound like you know what you're talking about. Audiobooks. I felt audiobooks are enough of a special case that I wanted to discuss them separately. They're a long-form style of narration where you, as the narrator, is bringing a story to life in the mind of the listener. They require solid acting skills because not only are you narrating a story, you're also doing every character voice along the way. It's way beyond just reading a story out loud. You need to feel it so that the audience can feel it too. Audiobooks also take a lot of time to record and edit. A finished one can range around 10 hours or more when completed, so multiply that by 5 or 6, and that's about how long you're going to actually spend on them. Animation. Inhabiting one or multiple character roles in order to bring the performance of that animated character or characters to life. Most people already think of animation when they think of voiceover, so I doubt I need to explain this one all that much. Suffice it to say, it requires top-tier acting skills because you're trying to bring this character performance to life with only the sound of your voice. Everything about your delivery needs to be heightened to the point where it's often an exaggeration of a normal voice. If you go down this road, you should understand that it's 2 things: competitive and exhausting. It's also fun. Video games also fall under this category too. All the same principles apply as with cartoon animation. Promotion. Any incidental voiceover that advertises or promotes something else. This covers everything from short promo spots for TV shows, events, movie trailers, video game trailers, YouTube channels, etc. There's a lot of scattered work out there in promo, and it's one of the few kinds where it's sometimes appropriate to sound announcery, depending on the type of promotion that you're doing. And speaking of announcing, this is voiceover that's either live or pre-recorded and conveys a direct message to the listener. So think about the last time that you were at a convention or rode public transportation or went to a sporting event and a voice came across the PA system. Sometimes it's to ask you to be mindful of something for safety reasons or to let you know where you need to be for an event. Then, of course, there's live announcing for sports or being the disembodied master of ceremonies voice for a live show. It's all announcing, and it requires that you be clear and authoritative, yet friendly. Most people either take it or they leave it. It's a specialized thing because it's mostly done in real time. Lastly, there's interactive, and several things fall under this category in my opinion. For instance, there's the automatic phone prompt stuff. Please press 2 or stay on the line to speak to a representative. Then of course there's voiceover for AI, which is a hot button topic in the VO world right now. You record all these samples of dialogue and then a program chops them up and uses them to respond to things. And then also video games fall under this category as well, because depending on what you do as the player, your actions will prompt different VO in response, either grunts or instructions for the next mission or what have you. Video games are a bit of a hybrid because they also fall under animation because of the character work, and I think they mostly fit under there, but I wanted to mention it here. That's how I would categorize the different kinds of voiceover. Depending on who you talk to, there's 10 types or 30. It all depends on how specific you want to make your list. The narration category, for instance. Corporate and medical narration are very different from each other, as is documentary narration. So again, why does this matter? You should be aware of the vast possibilities that are out there. Try whatever interests you until you find your niche. But eventually, I would settle on about 3 different kinds. It helps you focus and makes it easier to market yourself. And then, once you know what kind of voiceover work you want to do, you can start figuring out how to go after it. I do have some thoughts about that, which I'll share in the future. And there you go, categories of voiceover. Hopefully that gets you thinking about how you want to specialize. Thank you so much for watching my video. I do these because I hope there's useful information in them for you, especially if you're first starting out. Your feedback means a lot, so please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I try to respond to any questions in the comments as soon as I can. Also, I haven't talked about my social in a while, but I'm Killer Voice Guy on Insta and Twitter. If you have any questions or requests for future videos, please reach out and let me know. I'm going to be recording my demo soon, so it's going to be a few weeks until the next video, but I'll see you then.